What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Masters of Fate podcast. I've got an awesome one here for you today. We've got Paul Nowell, who went from struggling musician to building a seven-figure business online and helping other musicians build their own six, seven-figure businesses. And if you are a musician or you're just an entrepreneur online, you're going to want to listen to this one and dive into the secrets of marketing and sales as an entrepreneur or as a musician. And I'm super stoked to go deep with you, Paul, on how musicians are actually creating their online programs and building six and seven figure businesses with you. So first off, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, and
People
the
should know that we went to high school, like the same high school, not at the same time, but we went to the same high school. They should know that.
That too, Hudson, Ohio. So we're both Ohio boys that got out, which usually the Midwest people that get out to California or Florida or internationally are some of my favorite people to connect with. So super excited for this conversation with you, man.
Likewise.
And where I want to start is just actually with music. How do you
Hmm.
get into music? Because I'm so fascinated as like an online entrepreneur because I'm always working behind a computer, but I would love to develop um, like a musical talent and grow more of that feminine surrender side of being able to flow with music.
Hmm.
So I'm super curious about your journey getting into music, what instruments you play,
Yeah.
and just all of that stuff up until today.
Yeah. It's a great question. So my father was an instrumental, still is because he was playing guitar and banjo, and I was had the music around me there. And same with my other relatives too, like my cousins and my uncle, and they all sing too. So it was just always around me. And it's just something that I always, it's really weird because I just knew that that's what I was going to do. It's like, I just, it almost like chose me. I didn't really feel like I chose it. I just felt like this is what I was going to do. It's just like a knowingness I had.
Dude, so what was the first instrument that you picked up?
All right. So born in California, before I moved to Ohio, we spent a little bit of time in Virginia, Southern Virginia. I was a little boy, and the only lessons available there were banjo lessons. So I actually started on the banjo of all instruments, and that was my first introduction to music was the banjo
That makes sense for Virginia.
for
Uh,
Virginia. Yes.
yeah.
So
And you're known as the trombonist now. So when did
yeah,
you pick up the trombone?
just through the schools, as you know, Hudson had a really strong music program. So as soon as they introduced the instruments, that's just something I always wanted to do. And I saw that they came and demoed all the different instruments, and they when the trombone came out, and then when I found out that was the sound that the parents on Charlie Brown, that was their voices, was the trombone, I was like, oh, that's cool. So for some reason, like that's why I wanted to play it was because Charlie Brown adult voices were were the trombone. So it's like, okay, let's go.
That's super cool. So you grew up with music, you picked up all these instruments, got great with them, and then transitioning into the online space.
Hmm.
What was that journey like going from musician to having to learn marketing, sales, offer creation,
Yep.
and how long did it take to finally click for you?
It took a while. So I went a really roundabout way. Like the marketing industry, I didn't seek it out. It kind of found me. And really what happened was I spent all my effort building a following online. So it all started with this. It all started, I could put up covers of the trombone and I knew I could get some eyeballs on me if I played the trombone with some popular music that they normally didn't hear the trombone with. Then I started to do some like trombone lessons online and people started to resonate with that and follow me for my advice on how to play the trombone. And then I realized I could get famous people's attention by writing songs about them and then having them tweet it out.
Yeah.
So like it all started with like the first one was like Ellen DeGeneres. So me and my buddy, we wrote her a song and then we got interviewed by the producers, and I'm like, okay, this is powerful. I can tweet it to people now, because it was right when Twitter came about. It was like '09 or something. I was like, I can tweet songs I write for people. So then I would write a song for Ryan Seacrest, and then I would tweet it to him, and then he put it on his blog. Then I get a lot of traffic. Then people would subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then I'm like, okay, who else could I write a song about? And then I would write a song about a famous YouTuber, and then they would share it, and then I would get all their traffic. So I was like writing songs like about and to, because like if someone has a song and it's called the blank name song, you think it's going to get their attention a little bit? Yeah, how many people write a song about somebody, right? So I realized that. And then after that got some results, I realized that what I could do is I could find who are blog writers that write blogs and what kind of content they write. So technology, for example, could I write songs about the new technology coming out, because I knew they were looking for content, and then they'd feature my video, and then I would get more traffic, more views. So then I kind of built up a YouTube following doing this, right?
So I think that's one point that I'd love to stop you there and
Yeah.
for everybody to really soak that in and think about how you can, so backstory. There's this YouTuber. Do you know this YouTuber named Eric?
Mm-mm.
So I started following him when he had 2,000 subscribers about 2 years ago. Now he has 15 million. And
Wow.
he talked about this concept called social hacking. So all of his YouTube videos were about other YouTubers and famous people. So that's how he brought everybody over to his YouTube channel. And I just launched a video 3 weeks ago on my YouTube channel around Alex Harmosi's $100 million webinar.
Mm,
I got so much more traffic to that video. So,
smart.
so the power that you brought up of social hacking and building your audience that way is so powerful. So I feel like that could be like a golden nugget that anybody listening right now, think about how you can social hack people from somebody else's audience into your audience right now. So
Yeah, and the easiest way is just to have them on your channel. So I did that with trombone players too. I brought every single trombone player I could think of on my channel to do videos with them. So then if people search that trombone player, then it would go to my brand too and create some notoriety too with my brand.
100%. In like doing interviews like this, when I was starting my Facebook group, I did an interview once or twice a week to interview other people with Facebook groups at first. Then it was other people with big audiences, and then it was like famous people. And it started from just me interviewing my friends that were in the entrepreneur space, and then interviewing people with bigger groups, then people with bigger YouTube channels, and then really high entrepreneurs up there. So
Sweet.
yeah, it starts somewhere. So you started doing the social hacking thing and started writing songs and getting people into your audience. So where did it go from there?
Yeah. So I had a lot of viral videos featured on some shows. Some were even on the Disney Channel, and they would review my viral videos. And I was completely broke. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, so it's not about how many views you have and how many followers you have to really monetize this and focus on this. So then I was like, well, someone talked about Patreon. So I tried to get the Patreon, and it was like, that was like only a couple $100 a month. I'm like, this is not working. So it all happened by accident, Andrew. I had an album. I gave it out I initially sold it. The pre-launch did okay. And then I sold it. After I sold it, I gave it away for free in exchange for people's emails. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. I just knew that's how I could deliver it to. I could have the autoresponder just send it to them. And I didn't want it just to be available for anyone to download it. I wanted it to be people that took the time to opt in for it. I didn't think anything of it. And
Mhm.
then I had a bunch of emails. And then about a year later, I wrote a book as a trombone method book. And I sent out one email, and it made about 6 grand for the book. And I was like, all right, this is nuts. I need to study this. I never realized that was even possible. So then I realized the power of the email list. And then it led me down the rabbit hole of online marketing. And I started getting targeted with ads.
Mhm.
I started joining courses, and I started learning all about this and seeking out mentors.
Dude, I love that. We had very similar paths. It was growing the audience first. So I grew my Facebook group to like 800 people, and it's a very similar dollar amount. I did my first launch post, and made $6,400 in a day from that launch post. And that
Nice.
was the moment where I was like, oh my God, the power of having an audience.
Yeah.
Um, so you went from selling that book.
Yeah.
What was your next offer after that?
Next offer was an improvisation course. And then I studied webinars. I read Expert Secrets and studied webinars. And then I did pretty well with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, webinars are awesome. And then I got really into webinars. And then I started just teaching other musicians. It just kind of naturally led because I'd be at gigs, right? I'd be at gigs and I'd be like, all this money would be coming in at gigs. And I was making more offline than I was at the gigs, or I mean, online more than I was offline at the gigs. And then the musicians would be like, what are you doing, man? I was like, I just made like 10 times the amount this gig paid, at the gig. So I was performing and everything. And then I was, had this little business on the internet. Musicians started to ask what I was doing. I helped out a few friends. They got some really great results. And I like, okay, I think I have something here. And then what I did was I documented the results in a webinar. And then I launched a company called Passion Builders Online that helps other musicians to build an audience and create offers. And it's since evolved to helping them do online education with their area of expertise.
I love it. And what I love is that we talked a lot about the entrepreneur journey up until this point, building your audience, launching your first offer, their ups and downs, and all of that stuff. Um, and what I'm really curious about now is for other musicians that you're working with that are doing 6, 7 figures, selling their art, like their music. What does that look like?
Yeah. So when we would, so we not only do online education, but when we were working with musicians that were selling their albums and selling all of that, what we discovered is that the email's still king, right? You got to have a list. Don't depend on anything but the list. The list is everything. And where the real success came from was when they would do a pre-launch for the campaign and they would bundle the music with an offer. So it
Mm-hmm.
was more of an experience in the hype of the pre-sale. And it's almost just like any launch online, except it's tied to music and it has a cart open and it has a cart close.
Mm-hmm.
And when our clients were doing that, that's when they had massive results.
What would be in addition to their music? What would be in that offer for that
Yeah.
music?
Come to the studio while I'm making it, get your album liner notes as one of the producers.
Mm,
Have your voice on a track, have a clap on one of the tracks. So,
mm,
you can have like album credit too. And
mm,
then one of my clients, what he'll do is he'll take everyone's image and he put them on an album cover to make another image. So it's like everyone's face that helped with the production of the album turned into a picture. They do the collages, right? So they
mm.
became a part of history like that. They were in the album cover.
Dude, that's great. And I actually just thought of something. I want to take one step back. So when you, for example, wrote a song and produced one for Ellen DeGeneres,
Right.
what was your strategy after that to get that song in front of her?
It's kind of crazy, but what I did was I came up with like a fake email address that wasn't really me. It was like a generic email address. And I say, hey, I found this song on the internet. I think you guys might be interested in it. And I would send it out to people like that. And I got tons of people's attention by doing that.
Oh my God. And then it would be to a YouTube link or
Yeah.
fires YouTube
And
typically.
then they would reach out. And it didn't look like I was saying, here's my song.
Yeah.
I was like, look, I found this song online. And it was like this anonymous person that just wrote them.
Oh my God. So, musicians out there, you can follow a similar formula and do that, build your audience, and then, yeah, start creating offers around what you do. That is so gold. Um, so, yeah. So now, then we met in 2020, 2021.
Before that, maybe.
Oh, shit. It was way before that. So,
Yeah.
2019.
2019.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Looking
2019.
at the
Yeah,
horse.
exactly.
Um, and then How have things developed since Seven Figure CEO and Tribe of Buyers, and all of that? Because I know
Uh,
you kind of restructured some things
yep.
from doing kind of the regular course and coaching model to having a high end back end program and all that. But tell me a
Yep.
little bit about that journey.
Yeah. So what happened was I looked at all of my students and I was like, who's making the most money and having the biggest businesses, right? What model are they doing? And I discovered that they were selling information, music education, but high ticket, right? So,
Hmm.
and it really happened from my star student, Matt. He's really kind of like the big case study that started this. And then when I realized that Matt, we got him up to like 6 figures a month selling trumpet education. He's a great marketer. And
Hmm.
then what I discovered is like, all right, let's help everyone else do that so that they can continue to make a lot of money I mean, for one, change their lives, grow their business, but also afford to keep spending money with my company. so
Yeah.
so I wanted to help everyone make as much money as possible so they can keep doing business with us. And then we created another mastermind that just helps everyone do that model, what we discovered. And then the results from that are absolutely insane. Like, because we have a blueprint, we have a model that works, and then everyone just has to jump in and listen to what we say. And then what happens is like people go from zero to hero. It's pretty cool.
So 6 figures from trumpet education.
A month.
Yeah, a month. I'm That's the big part right there. I'm curious what the offer structure looks like for trumpet education.
Yeah, so it's not, this is what everyone needs to realize. It's not a ton of content, right? It's a result, right? It's like what can get somebody a result, and that's what people pay for. A lot of people that are into this, they had a passion for music in the past. They kind of fell off the wagon and they're a little older and they want to get back into it. So middle-aged and older. That's where most of my students that are really crushing it, that's what their market is like older people that did it like maybe in high school, middle school, and then they got a career and then they want to get right back into it and don't have regrets in their life. Okay. So what really sells it is the community, because you can have information on YouTube videos, right? But it's the community and it's that effect of being the average of the people you're around. So if everyone is aligned to the same goal, everyone is aligned to the same vision, and they're all doing the same model,
Hmm.
it gives results for students faster. And that's what's appealing to these high ticket offers. And it actually saves them money. So so I don't let anyone charge less than 5 grand a year for their music program. Okay.
Hmm.
And if you think about it, if someone were to study privately for a music lesson, $100 an hour for a year, that's already high ticket.
Hmm.
So they're already spending high ticket, but why not create more value, put them in a community? And when I tell that to other musicians, they're like, aha, it's like a light bulb. And it also is a light bulb to the prospect that's going to invest in music education because they realize they're already spending that anyways.
Hmm. So my question is around the result. How do you make the result tangible when people are in different starting places for trombone? And what
Hmm.
is that tangible result? And how do your clients make it sound really sexy?
Yeah. So everybody, no matter what level you are, their similarities musicians always have. I want a better sound. I want a better feel. I want it to be like extension of my body. So what happens is no matter what stage they're at, if they're at the advanced stage, they learn from explaining and helping the people that are just starting. The people just starting learn from being around the people that are more experienced. But you just keep
Mm,
refining those fundamentals over and over again, and it makes people better and better and better. It's like a flywheel.
yeah. Oh my God. So many musicians are missing that community element that just accelerates their growth. That makes so much sense. And one thing that I want to point out, there is no freaking excuse for anybody here to be like, oh, I work in this space or I work in that space and I can't build a big business. Especially in the music space. Musicians can be rich nowadays. We have the internet, we have these programs. We have another client, Kavitha, that was in Seven Figure CEO with you. That was all around relationship offer
Mm.
and enhancing the relationship with your partner. And she was doing multiple seven figures. So it's like all the coaches out there, there's a way to do it. Just keep investing and keep working until it finally clicks and it finally takes off. Um, and I'm curious for you, what going back a little bit, what was that moment online where it was your big click? You brought up 6K in one day from the book. Was there another specific moment where you were like, "Oh, it's finally freaking working now"?
Yeah, there's been a few of them, but I would say the way it really clicks and happens is you have to listen to the market and you have to give the market what they want as opposed to just assuming what they want. So if you become more of a detective and you're constantly just aware of what's the struggles in their minds, what are their concerns, what are their desires, what are their pains, and you almost become like this little second voice that's like, oh my, like that's talking and like they're like, how'd they know? How'd they know? Oh my gosh. And that comes from listening and asking and constantly asking questions and just like looking around on forums and groups, on comments on YouTube videos, what everyone's saying. That's when you realize you have the power to really, I mean, you'll never be poor ever again if you do that, folks. It's like that's how you do it.
I think that's the perfect point, and you set me up perfectly because we're doing a Ryan Levesque Asks survey for sisterhood right now. So if anybody wants to check out some of those questions, hashtag sisterhood down below, and I'll send you over the survey. But that point is so perfect because we don't want to use our own words. We want to use the tribal language that our ideal client is using. So we enter the conversation that's going on in their mind. The easiest way to do that, you brought up checking out forums, checking out other Facebook groups where they're at. What are they saying their pain points are? What are their goals? What are their challenges? And you can also deliver a survey. The book Ask by Ryan Levesque is one of the best books for that. So I love that you brought that up, man. Um, and what's the vision now? What's the next big move in your company? Because you're doing seven figures, multiple seven figures. But what is the vision for your clients and the mission that you're on right now?
Yeah. So the mission is to set up the clients in a situation where they have like an asset that can create a legacy for themselves and also pass it down to their family if they want, or even sell it if they want, and use that asset to invest in other things that they want to do. So we have some of our clients, they get their music education programs really profitable, and then they'll invest in like performances and like studio sessions with people they look up to and all kinds of other creative endeavors that they normally wouldn't be able to have the means to, and if they didn't have the cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big vision, and then that way they can focus on their art more, because I always think if you're not like concerned about paying the bills and you're coming from a place of abundance, your art's going to be better because you're coming from like a place where you can really take your time to hone it in, and you feel like a little more relaxed, and it's just it's a better place to be, and you have the resources to hire the people you want, to get it to sound the way you want, and really live up to your fullest potential when you're not worried about money. So that's what I want all my students to do. I want them to have like a total abundance from these music education businesses, because people they invest a lot in music education. I mean, I went to debt with music education. I went to Berklee College of Music. That was not cheap, right? I was like 150,000 some dollars in debt at the time with that. You know what I mean? And people do that because that's how valuable it is to people. So I want them to create their own little music education businesses that produce a lot of cash flow that they could do everything else they want to do in their life. That's what I'm doing too. So the vision now, to transition to what my company's vision is, we want to have, yeah, go ahead. You there?
Yeah, it's we caught all of that. It's just kind of now we're good. It was a little robotic, but we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the music the online teaching online education is one aspect of the company. The next is to now kind of branch into producing music videos. I mentioned to you last week, where we are doing really cool projects, music projects, and the sponsors my company. And then we're able to afford to have other cool music guests on there. And then it takes them to the top of the funnel for people that want to do music education. So it's like a big circle how everything can play together.
I think that's freaking huge, man. And I love that you brought up the profitability because, like, in coaching, you have big profit margins if you do it right and big impact at the same time. And, like, where else are you going to find 50, 60% profit margins inside of a company that's doing multiple seven figures? And then being able to funnel that cash flow into Airbnb projects, or if you want to go stocks or crypto or whatever you're investing into. Like for me, it was like fucking awesome making all that money and selling it and then partnering up with Jen and Stacy Conkey, who I met through coaching. I helped them scale their business to multiple seven figures. And then they're my business partners on the real estate side. So you just have this engine going with coaching or education business to bring in a lot of cash flow and then invest into wealth building activities.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, it's so great. But some people's objection is like it's not sellable, and it's like you get lit up so much by these companies, you're not going to want to sell it. And if you do want to sell it, you can. I did it.
I know you are the example.
Yeah. And the big thing is like you're following the same model where it's just reoccurring revenue. That's they were buying my lists, the
Yeah.
reoccurring revenue, the trainings. Like when we're looking at our companies as building assets into our companies with trainings, SOPs, systems, and we have reoccurring revenue coming in every single month. We were doing over 100K reoccurring revenue when I sold it. Over $1 million in cash was coming in the next year. It's super easy to sell that business.
Yeah.
But most people aren't structuring their coaching companies in a way where they're generating reoccurring revenue in
Exactly.
contracts. Yeah. But do you remember Jeff Miller?
Okay, yeah.
He's going the low ticket model at 297 per month right now, and he started it 6 months ago and just built a seven-figure reoccurring revenue income stream
Oh,
from $297 offer per month. He breaks even on the front end, so like he gets runs ads, gets two for like 297. He gets a new client, and then each month they pay, it's all profit from there. So I've been looking into that model a little bit too.
that's
But
cool.
yeah, yeah. Um, what haven't I asked you that I should have asked you?
Well, yeah, people probably want to know what's the sales process. How do you get people to buy these music programs?
100%. So give us what is the rough price point range, and is there a low ticket that feeds into a book call, or what is that whole process?
Yeah, so the low ticket's the free webinar. So the way we do it is it's really simple process. It's add webinar application page, get on the call, right? And the least I'll let anyone sell it for is 5 grand, because we've actually tested it, Andrew, and there's been zero difference in conversions between 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000. So you all might as well just charge 5,000 there. I just made you a few $1,000s more per sale.
I love it. So is it mainly a one-step call or two-step call?
We do both. We start off with the one step. So we start off with the, I guess, the lowest hanging fruit, the people that are totally ready, And then what we'll do is it will just be one call close. But then for the people that need a little more warming up, we will send them to like a triage session and just kind of show them about everything and see who's qualified and send them to the other administer.
Awesome. So if somebody's just starting out in this space and selling music education online, where do they start? Let's
Okay,
say, yeah.
great question. So they start with who have they already taught, right?
Mhm.
And then what we do is we hit them. I'll give you guys like one of the best gold nuggets I could possibly give you. This is how you get people on the call without coming across salesy, all chill. You say, "Hey, name, I'm putting something together in the future, and I want to know. I'm reaching out to my best students, and I want to know what you think about it before I announce it to the public. You got time to chat next week for a little Zoom chat?" And then they'll be like, "Okay, sure, teacher." And then what happens is you get them on the Zoom chat, and then all you do is you just run down the offer and with a little one pager, okay? And then you get your beta, real early beta students. You get some nice cash flow from that. Then from there, we use that cash flow to invest in growing the rest of the business. So that's how we start off. If you don't have existing students, what you do is you create a Facebook group. Still working this day. I don't how many years later, Andrew, still working, right?
Still rocking. Yep. And Cole Gordon is teaching that too, that get to 200K per month through a community funnel.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Yep.
yeah.
So then we start there, build up the free group. Then what you can do is you can do behind the scenes. One of the things you can do is you can get calls booked really simple. On the intake form when they join your group, you just say, "Can I reach out to you if I have some other information?" And they say, "Hey, welcome to my group. In order to make this group really special, I want to know what you think about something before I announce to the public. You got time to chat?" Same type of message, just tweaked a little differently. Get them on the call, show them the offer, build out the offer, get some sales. And then where most people make a mistake, Andrew, at this point is they blow all their launch money. Now, what you need to do is you need to keep on to that launch money because we're going to need it for advertising. And the students that I have, the most successful, we got students at 100, we have multiple students at over $100,000 teaching music. Okay.
Mhm.
And what all of them had in common is they were fearless when it came to the advertising. So they took all of the capital they got from the launch and they put it right into ads.
Mm, that's awesome. And I love those little scripts that you gave. So if anybody wants to go back and borrow those scripts, like this will be recorded and saved here, and I would recommend writing those down. Um, I had a question pop up in my head.
Yeah.
I know a lot of musicians have limiting beliefs around making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like one thing that holds them back is thinking either I don't deserve money or having a lot of money is bad.
Mm.
Um, do you have, uh, what do you say to those musicians with those limiting beliefs?
Yeah. So the first thing we do is we have to change the way they think. Like that's like the very first thing we do. And one of the ways we do it is we get them to first have no resentment towards people that have money, because a lot of people's instinct, if they see someone driving a nice car, or they see someone in a nice house, or they always have the two words that always go together: rich assholes. That's what most people say, right? So the first step is to stop saying that. Okay, because that's going to really hurt you from ever building wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing you need to do is you need to look at all the good things you can do once you build wealth. And if you do it for good, I always look at the money you have as a direct correlation to the value that's been exchanged from your services. So you look at it as a scorecard. So one of the things you want to do is to look at how your wealth is a scorecard of how much value you've given to the world. And then when you look at it that way, it doesn't seem like you're hoarding money. And then another thing, people think that like rich people are hoarding money, but it's not how it is. The money is not, it's turning into more money because the banks are taking that money and turning it into more money. The money, it's like it's impossible to hoard money. So you got to stop thinking about that. And whether someone has $1 million or not, it's like a teeny tiny drop in a huge ocean of the world economy. It would make no difference if someone had $1 million and do nothing to society other than good things. And if you don't get the money, other people will get the money and they may do horrible things with the money. So you might as well get the money.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And it provides so much external freedom to be able to do what we want with who we want, how we want. It builds so much abundance up within us so we can be our full authentic self. Because like I was $82,000 in student loan debt, had $600 to my name, and I was making decisions because I was in a scarcity mindset that weren't conducive to me actually growing and becoming my true authentic self.
Yeah.
I think everybody like needs to get to a place where they don't have to worry about money ever again.
Mhm.
It makes life so much simpler. You feel so much better. And if you're doing the internal work on top of that, the internal freedom, being able to direct your thoughts, feelings, and actions to where you want them to go, you won't become like that rich billionaire who dropped out of like billionaire status and then ends up killing himself, because
Yeah.
we need that external freedom with the money and providing value to the world and seeing it as a scorecard, and also the internal freedom of doing the energetic work, the mindset work that you're so good at as well. And when we have those two things, we're a whole and complete human being. But we
I
need to.
love that. I love that. And it's amazing. And another thing we could tell everyone is that if you have the capital, you can employ people that deserve to be employed. You can give people work that need work, you know,
Mhm.
and build things that you want to build that haven't been built before, but deserve to be built. But because you have capital, it can now happen.
100%. And on top of that, I was such a follower before I became an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurship has forced me into leadership and becoming a better leader and being a better communicator. So, if there are musicians out there, people just starting in entrepreneurship, it is the ultimate spiritual path to getting that external freedom, the internal freedom, and becoming a leader instead of just a follower, which I was for the longest time. But we're coming up on our time here, Paul. And this has been so valuable for me and the audience. There were so many little tips and tricks that you shared and provided. If anybody wants to go back and watch this or listen to it, it's on the Masters of Fate podcast on Spotify, on our YouTube channel, or here on Facebook. But for you, Paul, where can they learn more about you or what you do?
Yeah, just go to passionbuildersonline.com. That's my company.
Sweet. I'll
I'm
put
Paul the
links.
Trombonist. My brand name's Paul the Like that's what I brand myself as, Paul the Trombonist.
Perfect. So we'll put passionbuilders.com in the notes here. And then also Paul the Trombonist on Instagram. Um, and Paul, thank you so much for your time, man.
Appreciate you, Andrew. You helped me out tremendously in my life. So I definitely appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Talk soon.
All right.